Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100K on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also, you could potentially be the 69,000th subscriber if you subscribe soon, so that's a title that you can put on your tombstone. Yeah, that's a stupid intro. So today's video, I'm talking about Lamarcus Aldridge as well as Paul Millsap. Though I'm going to heavily focus on the Lamarcus Aldridge thing, or at least the title and thumbnail is going to be about him, because it's really cool to me that that he's back. He got medically cleared and he is going to be returning to the NBA, and it seems as though the Nets are going to be the team to sign him. Per Shams, 7-time NBA All-Star Lamarcus Aldridge has been cleared to play again, passing all the necessary tests, sources tell The Athletic. So Lamarcus Aldridge will be back. He is most likely going to be with the Brooklyn Nets. We of course saw him over a 5-game span with the Nets after he got bought out by the San Antonio Spurs, where he then proceeded to have to retire because I think it was something related to blood clots. I can't remember the specifics of it, but he had some life-threatening thing that was like, you can't continue to play professional basketball and put your body through the strain that professional basketball does without dying. So whatever that was, he's now cleared so he can play again, and that is fantastic. And I think that should be the main focal point of the news here, not that he's signing with the Nets. It's just great that a really good player, or at the very least a formerly great player who's now pretty solid, is back in the league, and that's always a good thing. As far as him being on the Nets, I mean, I don't think it makes much of a difference. It's a better alternative to DeAndre Jordan, who was completely out of the rotation by the time the playoffs came around. But and the fact that Jeff Green left, they are in more need of center play, I suppose. I would still like to see Nicholas Claxton get the primary starting spot, but it doesn't seem like they're really fully ready to embrace him, and I will say that in the minutes that he did get in the playoffs, it was kind of wishy-washy in terms of how impactful he was. Definitely not as good as we'd seen the peaks of him in the regular season. So Lamarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, who can play small ball 5, and Nick Claxton, I think that's a passable center rotation. I really think losing Jeff Green was a bigger deal than given credit for, but yeah, it's not, their center position is not completely screwed now. I think he's just another piece that can fit there. He can provide floor spacing, specifically from mid-range. He shoots threes too, which he's okay at, but he's really a great mid-range shooter and a decent enough rebounder and decent enough like post defense and protecting the basket just because he's a big body, but he has to do drop coverage because he's slow. He can't defend the perimeter whatsoever. If you get him on a switch, that might as well be a bucket guaranteed if you don't bring help defense. So yeah, not the best defensive player in the world, but he can be a little bit of a floor spacer, a little source of an offense. Sometimes you can get him post opportunity. It's obviously not going to be a go-to thing, but it is an option, and with how often players are in and out of the lineup, having other offensive options is not a problem. I can't imagine he's going to play a whole lot of minutes, and I don't imagine he's going to be really that impactful, but I'm just glad that he's back in the league. On the other end of things with Paul Millsap, he officially signed with the Nets. Lamarcus might actually not sign with the Nets. They're just the front runner. We've heard cases of teams being the front runner before and they didn't actually sign there. There was actually rumors of him signing with the Bulls when it was found out that he was possibly going to be making a comeback back like a month or two ago. But I don't know how I feel about that, because it's cool that the name is there and another source of offense off of the bench, sure. But I don't know how much we actually need his contributions. Really, the Bulls just need more interior defense and defense in general if they're going to add to the roster. But yeah, for Paul Millsap, he was someone that was rumored to go to the Bulls, and he did not. He ended up signing with the Nets. The specifics of the deal is not clear, but he was like one of those guys that was like, all right, someone should sign him by now, and it finally happened. I think really Lamarcus was just keeping his options open and really waiting to see the best case scenario, and I think he decided the Nets were that. Paul Millsap has the... Did I say Lamarcus in place of Paul Millsap? I might have. Paul Millsap has gotten regressively worse as time has gone on. When he initially signed with the when he initially signed with the Nuggets, he kind of immediately took a little bit of a dip. He was an all-star his last year in Atlanta, and then with the Nuggets, he was injured his first year, but, still good. Second year, still good. Third year there, kind of started to decline, then he got extended for another year. No, actually, his third year there, he did shoot 43.5% from three, so that's something. But he was a little bit worse, and then going into the postseason this year, like JaMychal Green was getting more minutes, Michael Porter Jr. at the 4 was getting a lot of minutes, and Paul Millsap and the necessity of him on the roster gradually started to decline, and signing Jeff Green really was just an obvious indication that they were moving on from Paul Millsap because Jeff Green is better, but Paul Millsap at the very least can be a pretty good defensive player who is a little versatile. He can't really defend guards like that, but he's not a liability there. He is a pretty solid enough interior defender and can body up on stronger players and stronger wing players. Decent enough rebounder. He's actually a good passer, but I don't feel like that's going to be utilized all that much. And he is just a good defensive player. And then offensively, he can space the floor respectably. He's a decent enough finisher, and he can sometimes create plays off of the dribble. It's not abnormal for him to do something like that. Obviously, he was doing that a lot in his Atlanta days when he averaged 18 and 17 points per game. But he is just a solid player. He's I think he can play small ball center sometimes, but like when you already have Blake Griffin, who's already pretty good at doing that, I feel like I'd rather just run Blake if I'm going to go with a small ball 5, or Jeff Green if you'd kept him on the team, but no. But overall, Paul Millsap will definitely be able to bring some contribution. I'd say probably more so than Lamarcus Aldridge can. Granted, their front court rotation has gotten a little crowded with Blake, with Claxton, and Lamarcus Aldridge and Millsap. So they have options. And I could definitely see, like, by the time the season's closing out, one of those guys is one of those 4 names I just mentioned is kind of just completely out of the rotation, just simply based on the fact that you can only play so many minutes. And whoever is the weakest link out of those names will probably be exposed by the time the season is coming to a close. So probably cut out of the rotation. Interesting to see what they're going to do with DeAndre Jordan because he still makes $10 million. I think... Is it a 1-year contract at this point? I'm not sure. Not DeAndre Ayton, DeAndre Jordan. Let me pull... Jesus Christ, I keep clicking the wrong thing when I'm looking this up on Basketball Reference. Pull up current salaries, or current contract. No, he has a 2-year deal. That makes trading him difficult, because who wants to pay Lamarcus Aldridge $10 million for the next 2 seasons per season? So yeah, he might just kind of be stuck in that situation. Otherwise, like maybe you pair, like is there some asset? They don't have their picks that they can trade. I don't really think there's, other than they did trade Landry Shamet, so that's like the only kind of asset that they have. They did just draft some guy in the first round, so maybe like OKC would take him for some second round picks, and the guy that they drafted with the pick that they got from the Suns for Landry Shamet. I don't know, but getting off of him might not be the easiest thing in the world, but their big man rotation just got a whole lot better with signing Millsap and likely signing Lamarcus Aldridge. He very well may sign with another team, but at the very least, Lamarcus Aldridge is back, and that is really cool. So yeah, that was it. Goodbye.